All right, let's do something a little different today. We're not just going to learn about how Airbnb works under the hood. No, we are going to architect it together. Think of this less like a lecture and more like a design challenge, and you're in the driver's seat. So, here's the mission if you choose to accept it. Build a platform that connects millions of hosts with millions of guests all across the globe. It is a massive undertaking, right? So, the big question is, where would you even begin? Let's break this down and figure out our first moves. First things first, before we can build anything, we have to know exactly what it is we're building. So let's start with the most fundamental question. At its very core, what is Airbnb? On the surface, it's a two-sided marketplace. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? You've got hosts on one side, guests on the other. But don't let that fool you. Hiding underneath that elegant concept is a mountain of technical complexity. And our job, as the architects, is to tame it. And here are the really juicy problems, the ones we have to nail right from the get-go. How do you let someone search through millions of homes and get results back instantly? And how do you guarantee with 100% certainty that a home never gets double-booked for the same night? These are the foundational challenges that will define our entire system. Okay, so before we even think about writing a single line of code or choosing a database, a great architect defines the rules of the game. What are our non-negotiables? And just how big is this playground we're building on? Think of these as the promises our system must make to every single user. Search has to feel instantaneous. We're talking under 300 milliseconds. Bookings can't just be accurate most of the time. They have to be perfect every time, and the site can never, ever go down. These requirements are going to dictate every single decision we make from here on out. First, let's just wrap our heads around the scale. We're designing for a user base of 50 million people. To put that into perspective, that's more than the entire population of Spain or South Korea. Our system has to handle that kind of load without breaking a sweat. And what are all those people looking at? 7 million unique listings. And each one is like a living, breathing thing with its own calendar, its own photos, pricing, and rules. That's a massive, constantly shifting inventory we need to manage. All of this activity creates a constant, a flood of requests. We're talking about 5 million searches a day. At peak times, that's around 50,000 requests hammering our servers every single second. This, my friends, is the definition of web scale. Okay, now we are getting to the absolute heart of the architecture. The entire platform, when you boil it all down, revolves around two main things: searching for a place and then booking it. But here's the real kicker. From an engineering point of view, these two actions are polar opposites. They have completely conflicting goals. And this right here, this is the central puzzle we have to solve. It's this constant battle between the need for lightning speed and the need for perfect bulletproof accuracy. The thing is, you just can't optimize for both at the same time with the same system. So what do you do? Well, the solution is actually pretty elegant. You build two completely separate systems, each one tailor-made for its job. The search system, think of it like a handy city map you pull up on your phone. It's super fast, and you know what? It's totally okay if it's a few seconds out of date. We call that eventual consistency. But the booking system? Oh, that's the hotel's master calendar. It can't be close enough. It has to be the single source of truth, perfectly accurate 100% of the time. That's strong consistency. So when it comes to booking, we choreograph this really rigid transactional dance. First, we check, are the dates actually free? Yes? Great. We immediately put a temporary lock on them so nobody else can swoop in and grab them. Then we process the payment, and only after all of that is successful do we finalize the booking and tell everyone. This step-by-step process with those critical database locks is how we guarantee zero double bookings. No mistakes. Okay, so we've cracked the core problem, finding a place and booking it. Awesome. But that's really just the starting point. Now we have to build the entire ecosystem around it, all the services that actually create trust and make the whole experience feel seamless. Let's talk about payments, for instance. We don't just process a transaction. This system is designed to act like a trusted third party, an escrow service. Airbnb holds onto the guest's money and only releases it to the host after a successful check-in. Just think about that for a second. That one design choice is what builds immense trust between two complete strangers. And then there's all this other critical stuff running in the background, the real pillars of the system. a review system where feedback is permanent and you can only post it after you've actually stayed, a smart, machine learning-driven pricing engine to help hosts, an asynchronous notification system so you get your alerts and messages instantly, and of course, heavy-duty security to verify IDs and sniff out fraud. All of this makes the marketplace feel safe and reliable. All right, we're at the top of the mountain now. This is the 50,000-foot view, where we talk about the big architectural trade-offs. These are the really tough decisions that separate a good system from a truly great one. And hey, if you're ever in a system design interview, this stuff is absolute gold. A huge decision is how we handle our data. And listen, there is no single one database to rule them all. That's old school thinking. The modern way is to use the right tool for the right job. So for bookings and users where we need absolute bulletproof reliability, we use a classic SQL database. But for search, where we need crazy speed and complex geographic queries, we use a specialized engine like Elasticsearch. This whole strategy has a name. It's called polyglot persistence, and it's a cornerstone of modern system design. At the end of the day, system design is really the art of the trade-off. It's about making deliberate choices. We chose to make bookings perfectly consistent, even if it's a bit slower, because trust is everything. We chose to make search eventually consistent, because speed at that massive scale was the #1 goal there. And to handle that global scale, we sharded our data. It's just a fancy word for splitting our giant database into smaller, regional chunks. So if you're in Europe, you're talking to a European server, it's faster for you, and if something breaks, it only affects that one region. See? Every single choice is a calculated balance. And with that, our design challenge is complete. We've built it. So now I'm turning the question back to you. You're the architect now. Looking back at all the decisions we made, what do you think was the single most critical trade-off for Airbnb's success? That constant tug-of-war between speed and safety? It's a question every great engineer and architect has to answer.